850 freshmen walked onto the campus of Prospect High School on Tuesday, September 3, 1957, taking up most of the 70 classrooms to mark the start of a new era for District 214. Throughout 1955, there was discussion about the need for a new high school that would only contain freshmen and sophomores. A construction bid totaling roughly $2,900,000 was accepted on June 12, 1956. Construction immediately followed. Incoming freshman Fred Lusso watched Prospect being built from the ground up and was ecstatic to be amongst the first class of Prospect High School.
My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug, I'm in love.
Well, we started out in 1957. I saw this building from the bottom up as a kid, through junior high the last couple of years. When I went to South Junior High, I used to watch this being built. And all freshmen to begin with, so sophomores, juniors, and seniors were at Arlington. So now you have this conglomerate of people from all over the place attending Prospect High School. We did that for 2 years, and then we split. But the early days were amazing because half the school wasn't finished yet. And so finally they got the field house finished for the next year. It had a dirt floor, but we didn't play any games in there until we were seniors.
In 1957, students from Arlington High School were split. Freshmen and sophomores intended on going to Prospect, while juniors and seniors were intended on going to Arlington. But according to Fred Lusso, the more athletic students chose Prospect High School over Arlington. Just like Arlington and Prospect parted their own ways, the southern states began separating blacks and whites in the late 1950s. Even though racism wasn't prevalent at Prospect High School, former students remember hearing about it in the newspaper.
To this school here, everything that was going on that might have been racial was like in another country, another world somewhere else. So me being like most kids, we didn't pay a whole lot of attention to news. And it was so far removed that I never paid much attention to anything. And I never knew that the South was the way it was. I had no idea until I took a trip one time and I got out of the car and I couldn't believe what I saw at a gas station where it said, drinking fountains and washrooms, whites and color.
9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock, we're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad
it had a nominal effect, but not as much as probably Vienna or probably Chicago.
Did Little Rock 9 affect it at all?
No.
Nope.
No. You've got to remember the northwest suburbs were, what would you say, 99% Caucasian, white?
There was one Hispanic kid that went to Prospect, one.
Played against each other, and then when it split, he was gone. Goodness. But yeah, and it was there. They went from very good, they dropped, and then they came back up again. Arlington.
Arlington had a great class in '59.
Oh, tremendous.
And Arlington Prospect had a great group of athletes. If they would have been combined at that school, it would have been unbelievable.
Just like Arlington and Prospect, the Soviets and United States also had a rivalry. The United States government was hostile to Soviet leaders for taking Russia out of World War I. The two countries did not establish relations until 1933. The Soviet Union and the United States stayed far apart during the next 3 decades of superpower conflict. The Soviet and USA rivalry were important at Prospect to students that were involved in science programs.
Our race with the Russians and everything else, satellites and Sputnik and stuff like that. So I didn't learn about all those things until I went off to college.
See, that's what happens when you get old, your memory fails. But I think it heightened an interest in science.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
and it goes round, round, round as it skims along.
Although there was great conflict around the world, Prospect High School still managed to have fun. The first nighttime dance was held in 1959. To celebrate, a parade was held and each club or group decorated a float and the whole town was shut down for that parade. Little did the first class at Prospect High School realize that night times would soon become a tradition to this day.
Round, 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 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of.
We had parades through town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so
that was homecoming was really
Prospect,
and we homecoming king and queen.
Prospect used to
too.
Prospect used to too.
And everybody was showing.
Yeah.
Makes a girl and boy.
All throughout the 1950s, the only sport women had available to them was the GAA, also known as the Girls Athletic Association, which is what we consider today to be cheerleading.
GAA.
Girls Athletic Association.
They opened up the gym and let you come in for a minute and walk around and bleed.
Extensive GAA program. I mean, there was bowling, volleyball.
They have archery down there? Well, that was one of those sports.
Yeah, yeah. The Girls Athletic Association was Ola Bundy. Remember Ola?
Yes, I do remember.
She was the IHSA representative for GAA.
Those ladies, they pushed it and they got sports in the Title IX,
You know what I call
While there was a stereotype that women were looked down upon for participating in sports, this was not true at Prospect High School. Many of the men dated women in the GAA. Dating was a much bigger deal then than it is now. With that said, the first form of birth control came out in 1957. The pill was not very popular amongst the high school students simply because it was not something that was openly talked about at the time.
The birth control pill didn't affect anybody because the kids weren't allowed to go to a doctor to get it unless their parents took it. So
It wasn't an issue.
Some of the things we did today, you'd say, "Oh, you can't do that."
Yeah.
well,
The big deal was getting your driver's license.
It still is.
On some people.
During the late 1950s, there was not as much to do for fun as there is now. Kids would make up their own fun by meeting up and playing pickup sports. Students also participated in sock hops, which were dances that students couldn't wear their shoes because back then the gym floor was considered a sacred ground.
Everything you listen to, you could listen to, and there were lyrics. And, it's about love, and it was about the struggles of, if it was teenage music,
Dreaming of. In the night you see the oval moon.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse aired on October 3rd, 1955 on ABC. The popular television show was created by Walt Disney and soon became a very popular show amongst the children and teens of 1955. Since the day Prospect opened, the traditions that were created have been passed on throughout the years. The opening of Prospect was an eye-opening experience, giving students an opportunity for an education that is still provided today. It has created memories and events that are remembered and looked back on.